Hello, and welcome to the Stacking Dingers Show. I'm your host, Matthew, aka Sheep, aka Dark Sheep. Find me online at D4RKSH33P _. This, of course, is the Stacking Dingers Show, your home for all things Underdog and DraftKings MLB Best Ball. We are in our second edition of the position player rundown. We have the second part of Outfielders today. So we're going to be looking for pretty much anybody with a heartbeat that has the outfield designation by the time we get to the end of this list. Joining back here for the first half, here for the second half, is Eric EZ. He has his Underdog rankings and DraftKings rankings at easydfs.xyz if you want to jump into those and check those out. And joining us tonight for the bottom half of the Badge Bros. I'm sorry, that joke was terrible. Nez at Nez Takes. What's up, everybody? How are we doing tonight?
Doing well. Thank you for having me back on to talk about the latter half of the Outfielders here. This is kind of a difficult conversation at times, but I think we can have a little bit of fun and do a little bit of wish casting, which is also a lot of fun.
Yeah, you're certainly, hoping we're looking at platoon, like major platoon players, looking at maybe some young potential breakouts here. We got a lot of fun guys and also some boring guys to talk about. But first, breaking news. We just got done, hopefully you just got done watching our episode on the first half. Corbin Carroll was a topic of discussion there. And now in a rash of maybe contagious hamate bone injuries, Corbin Carroll is going to, I guess I didn't even know. Nez, did you see the final results? Did he undergo surgery for his hamate bone or not?
According to MLB.com/news/Corbin Carroll broken hamate bone, he did undergo surgery. He underwent surgery Wednesday, and it's not certain how long he will be out. In best case scenario, he could return to action around opening day.
Right. There was then, some back and forth discussion about among the cool people online that like to discuss these sort of things about how much, does this sap your power? How does this affect your hitting? And it seemed kind of a mixed bag, Eric, from, specific examples of players that came back. Matt Olson, for example, who was fine, and just some studies that said it was, not overall a terrible effect on players.
Yeah, I'm leaning it's far from like a total derailer of the season. And if you want to take Galaxy brain your way into saying like, just pretend he has a slow start in April anyway and just consider that part of the cost of doing business, I don't think it's as scary as it probably first seemed, but definitely cause for like more than just breaking ties away. He probably drops like a full round, I would say, as opposed to all the guys around him. And then it almost is like the Jordan conversation. It's like, are you taking Corbin Carroll, who per plate appearance is probably worse than or at best equal to Jordan, and partially made up injury concern versus like an actual currently healing injury. So I think that's kind of the range we're looking at for Carroll now.
Yeah, and does you agree with that?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for sure. My initial reaction was like really, really scary. Like, I don't know where I can draft this guy, but it seems like they're not seeing this as a big deal, and they're not talking about missing months. They're talking about weeks at this point. So that does make me feel better about drafting him. I will probably be if he's anywhere near the 2-3 turn, I think I'll be able to click him with confidence.
Yeah, I guess part of the conversation yesterday around Arizona in general is maybe that offense might just stink. So this might multiply that for me, and I might just be avoiding him, but I'll have to see how he falls in rooms. It will be hard to just ignore him there at the 2-3 turn. I agree with that.
Mm-hmm. Just the idea of pairing him with like Judge or Ohtani, like I can sneak you in. I can sneak.
All right. So let's do it. Let's pull up the slides here. We left off yesterday in round 6. Our last person there was Michael Harris II, ADP of 71.9. If you are checking this out for the first time and you have not watched any of these rundown episodes, we have here, the players by their round and ADP in order. Then we have the projected things by the Bat X. In this case, we show the plate appearances and the underdog total, which, to be clear, is the full MLB season point total projection from the Bat X, not the underdog MLB season. So it's just there trying to give you a general idea of, this is what they would score over the whole season. Kind of use that in your brain to pare that down into what it would be for the shorter part of the season. And then you can also use the underdog points per plate appearance to kind of get more of a rate idea of how they score, per plate appearance. That'll be coming in handy, especially this episode, as we hit some of these guys with lower plate appearance totals because of their platoon risks. And then we just kind of have some general hitting statistics in their projected WOBA and projected K percent, just to kind of get an overall idea of what that hitter is as in kind of their archetype. So, spiel out of the way. We before the show here, Nez, you asked me who was first on the list, and it's Kyle Stowers. And you said, oh, that's kind of a spicy one to start. So why don't you start off with Kyle Stowers?
Yeah. Stowers, I think, has a lot to be excited about. Obviously, I mean, he was awesome last season, right? I mean, that might even be kind of underselling it. He was really, really good last year. 544 slug, 368 on base, hit 25 homers in 117 games. So, pretty strong sample there in Miami, after the trade in 2024 to Miami from Baltimore. Obviously, he was pretty, highly touted prospect when he was in Baltimore, just part of the embarrassment of riches they had. Peculiar deal that sent him over to Miami. But at any rate, his 25 was so awesome that when guys just kind of burst out of nowhere onto the scene, even with pedigree, and do what they did out of nowhere, I have trouble, essentially, no matter the cost, I just have trouble buying in, because I'm how hard is this regression going to hit this player, especially in a park that isn't great, with a lineup that isn't great. However, just based on talent, man, the ADP, the price is very right for Kyle Stowers. It doesn't seem like there's a ton of luck here. Obviously we got to bake in some regression, but in terms of the StatCast stuff, what I care about from a StatCast perspective, which is the bat speed, barrel rate, exit velo, he checks those boxes pretty well. And he cut his K rate down big time. So, and he started to walk more too. So all those things considered, and given the state of outfield, I take Kyle Stowers, but it's not to say I'm not a little nervous.
I'm totally with you there all across the board. The next guy here, Anthony Santander, we can skip because since this slide was created, he is basically out for the season. So
that's awful.
Yeah. Next up, speaking of changes of scenery, Kyle Stowers got to Miami and kind of finally had an opportunity for playing time and broke out. Eric, we have Luis Robert Jr. finally out of Chicago. He's got an ADP of 82.5. Has not looked like the Luis Robert Jr. that we wanted, the kind of the pedigree and the, some of the early stuff we saw out of him. So to you, how much can a change of scenery really affect a player?
A lot, but there's just going to be a lot of volatility around it. And there's not really much we've seen on the field in a while with Robert that would make you justified in drafting him around pick 80, in my opinion. a lot of the conversation is about pedigree and it's about superlatives and it's about wish casting, a good lineup and change in situation. And I don't want to underplay that, but it's really, really hard to get the projection there. Hit 38 home runs 2 or 3 years ago. Could you guys guess, if you're not looking at it, his second highest total in 5 or 6 years?
11.
14.
Okay.
So like he's had, he had 1 year that was nearly three times as much as any other. I'm rooting for him because I have some, Luis Robert rookie cards from like the absolute peak of Cardboard Mania, but stack only, and even then, I think he's kind of getting boosted up by the lineup.
Yeah, that can be.
It's a boring answer. I'm sorry. I hate to start off the show that way with someone that guys are pretty excited about. But.
If it pleases the court, I'm in agreement with you. I don't have any Luis Robert Jr. I'd rather take a pitcher or an infielder. Like the pedigree of infielder and pitcher that you get where Luis Robert gets, it's just like the likelihood of getting somebody that does just as good as Luis Robert down the ADP line is just like, to me, the trade-off is pretty obvious. But I don't know. I get it. I get the chase. It's fun to chase, but that's just like not who I am right now.
Yeah, we got the right badge, bro. If this was John, he'd be arguing. But I'm with you for the most part too. I have a hard time getting to it just because he has been bad, and I guess a good situation or a better situation is great, but like the skill hasn't been there, and like how much is it motivation? Like now that you have motivation, 2 years of bad skills, do they suddenly go away? I don't know the answer to that question, but maybe he can be the Sam Darnold of MLB season this year. Yeah. Hopefully, maybe you had some of those rookie cards hanging around. All right, Nez up next. Stephen Kwan, kind of always we say the same thing about him. And you either fall into a camp of you want him because you like the volume and accumulation, and at this point maybe that's okay out of the outfielders that we're taking, or you just don't want him because he has you don't feel like he has the spike potential.
Yeah, I'm not going to have a lot of Stephen Kwan this year. Probably like a stack only guy for me, but if somebody said to me like, I like Stephen Kwan in my builds, and I like him because like he helps like score points at outfield, and outfield has a lot of volatility, and I know what I'm getting from Stephen Kwan, and he has like 2 really good seasons in his last 4 years, I would say, okay, like that makes sense. I'm not anti-accumulator, like famously. It is a little bit of a steep price, but I mean, at the end of the day, man, Stephen Kwan scores like a good deal of fantasy points, and he hits it, lead off in front of Jose Ramirez. Like that's gonna play on Underdog. But I think the lack of spike, without someone getting there with him is pretty evident. So that's why he's like stack only for me.
Okay. Yeah. And I'd be curious if you could just name like 3 other players in that lineup off the top of your head.
I can name 2.
I know you can name one for sure. We'll get to him later.
Yeah.
But yeah, that is just an interesting lineup in general.
It is. They just seem to get it done. I don't know what to make of the guards.
Yeah. Easy, next guy up, Joe Adell, ADP 85 now. We finally saw it, the post type Joe Adell year was there. He hit 37 home runs, but he did not steal any bases. So I guess, is there, we're paying for the home runs that he hit last year. Didn't have a ton of runs, had some nice RBI totals, but in this Angels lineup at this cost, what are you thinking about now, paying for Joe Adell at kind of post breakout?
I think there's still room for profit here. Like I think, like, obviously, you talk about post hype, and like this is kind of like the post hype sweet house with like Stowers and him and even Ramos, if you will. So talking about guys that like are still potentially ascending, even though they disappointed, 2, 3, 4 years ago, still only 26. Some volatility here, but I think, power, age, like his position in the lineup and is pretty solidified. Righty, he's never really going to be getting sat. And I don't know who they would even sit him for. So like, I don't know. I think that there's still a little bit more juice to squeeze here. I don't feel too bad about buying the top on Joe Adell.
Yeah, I guess I'm also buying, but the biggest concern, you look, he's got a -16 defensive WAR last year, so he's not exactly the best fielder, and Trout might be DHing often. So
yeah,
if the bat goes away even a little bit,
yeah, and it's like they may be making room for Soler too. So it's just like, do they care? Like, what are they competing for? You know what I mean?
yeah,
They're not overly concerned that they're gonna opt for defensive, but I get that argument.
Yeah, but I'm in just one negative on him. Next, Jakob Marsee. Billy was upset that we did not get to this slide because this is he's the one who sold me on Jakob Marsee. Essentially, the sales pitch on him here at ADP 92, which is probably more expensive than even Billy feels comfortable. I know he's still taking him, but it kind of went up. But the sales pitch here is that he's kind of like Jarren Duran light. He's in this position where he could lead off for Miami for a full season because who else is going to lead off there and just kind of have the opportunity to accumulate a lot of points. He has a non-zero amount of power. It's not a lot, but he also has like upwards of 40 steal potential. So that's kind of the Jakob Marsee sales pitch, is getting there on volume on a bad team. So I know Nez, what's the negative side there that you see?
Well, it's really hard to kind of judge this guy because a 478 slug, and granted, just 55 games, but that just very much does not seem like him. With the 290, even with like the 292 average, like that, just like that was his career high in any sample of like a team that he played on, like even in the minors. So like he had like an awesome debut in Miami, like and maybe the coaches got a hold of him and they changed something in his approach, and all of a sudden he's this better hitter. But he does seem like prototypical leadoff, like classic leadoff guy, lots of steals, low K, like decent walk. I have trouble drafting this guy. I don't think I'm gonna have more than like a share or two of Jakob Marsee. Like I would really like to be sold on him, and like I think I need something tangible. Like what did he say, or what did the coaches say that he did that changed things for him? But otherwise, I see what the projections see, which is like a 700 OPS guy in playing in Miami. He has the steals on his side, which like is not nothing, and they think he's going to hit double-digit home runs. Probably a stack only type of player, which I'll probably be saying a lot here, but I don't know, man. I might need to talk to Billy about Jakob Marsee because I don't think I'm going to have any.
I know he does have. There was a swing change, and I did. Billy's yelling at the screen right now, but yeah, maybe we'll have to do that further research and bring that to you later. But yeah, absolutely. In years past, I would not like looking at his projection of an average of 238 at the highest, and this guy that we're trying to convince that. I'm trying to convince myself as leadoff. It is pretty tough, but I see the archetype there, I guess, of the leadoff hitter. If he can hit in between, if he can hit 260, let's say, instead of 230 that the projections say, and not the 290 that he put up last year. All right. Then next is Elliot Ramos. One of these Giants outfielders that's sitting here at the end Eric. ADP 95 basically. Should be clear for a bunch of volumes. You kind of mentioned him as a post hype. I don't know that he had a bunch of hype, but he's just kind of a consistent guy, I think, to me.
Yeah, I mean, he like hits the ball kind of hard and is otherwise not super great baseball player, which is fine. Like we're starting to look at guys that have like one or two traits probably for the rest of the draft here. And if they were infielders, they'd be going maybe 2-ish rounds later, if not 3. I don't know that the upside is tremendous on Ramos. I think like the Giants batting order, he's sort of like capped at 6 unless you get injuries up top. So I'm not like super thrilled with the profile, but I think really good guy to get you on pace like as your outfielder 4 or 5, depending on how you kind of build. He's not a target for me per se, but I think like the numbers kind of justify him in this range as like a bench outfielder.
Yeah, for me, it's like he's a guy I always want to take more of, and then I never take much of. So, like, yeah, he's fine here. All right, round 9 and 10 is our next slide. Where these rounds are thinning out. There's not too many guys in these rounds. Let's see. So Nez, Andy Pages, I don't know, just kind of boring. Kind of, I guess I should say that most of our most recent memory in our short term is the playoffs, and he was very bad then and kind of undersells what he did in the season. I guess where are you at on him here as part of the premium Dodgers offense?
Yeah, I definitely went through a journey with Andy Pages where I was not loving Andy Pages at ADP. Like when I first saw the ADP, I was like, I don't get this. And what my main concern was like playing time. I didn't think that this guy had a spot in the lineup, and I thought that he was like first man out. I think it was a little bit of like James Outman, pattern matching. But doing some streams, talking this out, and like kind of looking at the Dodgers lineup, this guy seems pretty safe. I think he's going to play like every day. And he like maybe he just was like situationally like really clutch, and a lot of his hits came with like runners on base, but this dude held his own. And if you can hold your own in the Dodgers lineup, like as an outfielder, you absolutely play on Underdog given the situation of outfield. Like this guy's not perfect by any means, but I'm kind of into it. I didn't mind him in 2024, like here and there in dailies. Took an everyday role last year and like did well with it, right? I mean, maybe he overachieved a bit. Projections think this dude's going to be the same guy as last year, and like I'm in if that's the case. So I went from like not waving Pages to like hell yeah, kind of like Andy Pages where he goes.
Yeah. I have him ahead of most of the guys we talked about in the last slide. Like I think he's his fielding is very good, which I think insulates him from getting benched as a righty. Like you don't really have the platoon concerns. Not that the Dodgers really have lefties on the bench that I can think of that are going to be trying to take ABs from him. Young, good power, steal a little bit. Like I think it's exactly what you want out of outfield 4, outfield 5 on Underdog.
Yeah, it's basically Alex Call is the one that you're worried about, and that's not a guy to be worried about. Especially with maybe also at the start of the season here. Who am I thinking? Tommy Edman is going to be maybe missing some time too. Who potentially have taken some of the outfield playing time. Okay, next up, Jack Caglianone. Basically, we are paying for all the hype and all of the minor league production here, Eric. And, he kind of fell flat on his face in his debut last year.
He did. And I think we're going to be doing some, like, paying some Nick Nicholas Kurtz tax here as well, unlike anyone that had FOMO, missing like the big left-handed bat on a bad team in what's now possibly an improving ballpark as well. So it's like kind of very easy to match those patterns, except for the fact that one was one of the best hitters in baseball right away, and Jack was very, very much not. So if you get the ABs, like, and he's a lefty, and like with some swing and miss, it's actually not that bad. Even last year in his bad debut, so to speak. So that actually doesn't worry me a whole ton if you're talking about like platoon splits. But I think he's fine. Like at this point, as your outfield 5, I think it's fine to take that risk. It could be a big hit. It could be a big miss. I'm kind of neutral overall on it. I think around pick 100 is like perfectly fine though to take a 0 if it happens.
Yeah, one of those guys that we talk about that is either going to be going way ahead or way behind this ADP next year.
Yeah.
All right. Next up, Adolis Garcia, new place to play here in Philadelphia. Nez, we saw kind of this cliff that we had been worrying about from Adolis Garcia ever since he broke out at such a late age and had, the swing and miss there. I guess here, they think he's better than Nick Castellanos. I mean,
Right.
defensively, majorly.
Yeah.
But, do you have any bounce back thoughts for him?
I mean, I don't think that like the Rangers are a bad org. I think this guy had a great season and like a historic postseason, and that bought him a lot of grace. Going to Philadelphia right now, like I don't take a lot of Adolis Garcia, but I think he's a great stack. I think because like of how much he elevates just like everything whenever he does connect. Just kind of looking at the projections, they're not bad, and he's in a good lineup or a decent lineup, I guess you could say. Like, who really knows with the Phillies? They're going to be good. They're going to be good. Don't get me wrong. I'm just like, I'm a little burnt, man. I had a lot of Adolis in 24, and he failed. He was not good, and he was even worse last year. So a guy that gets worse year over year, and then now I gotta be sold to take him again. There is a discount here. Right? Like it's not what we were paying the last few years for Adolis. And like I said, it's a good lineup, a better lineup than he was in last year. I mean, it's sort of the Nick Castellanos thesis where like Castellanos was just surrounded by a good team. I'm mostly trying to talk myself into Adolis because like right now I don't draft him. I really don't draft him.
The ballpark plays really well in the summer.
Yeah.
So I think the stacking component is probably where I'd lean in if you're looking for a reason. Like, and I take a lot of Schwarber, right? And Harper. So I think it's like that's kind of where I'm looking to take out at least. Otherwise, kind of meh.
Yeah. Okay. Next, Dylan Cruz, Eric, another guy. You're eating all the guys that failed last year apparently on this episode.
That I probably talked up last year. Yeah.
A guy who, when some of the comparisons I heard, as people were trying to sell me, it was kind of a Christian Yelich type guy with a little power, a little speed, not a ton of lift to his swing, but, a pretty big pedigree, and, the price isn't bad here. I guess, where are you at on him?
Yeah, I mean, I think entering last year, I forget exactly like the ADPs and frothiness of the two Nationals outfielders between he and James Wood, but if things went well for Dylan Cruz, like it wouldn't have surprised anyone if he was going in round 2 or 3 where James Wood goes now. His game is a little less underdog friendly, a little less pop, but I think he had aspirations to turn into like a mid-20s like type of home run guy, 30 plus steals. So disappointing debut, but very good pedigree. I think he's good standalone, really good in stacks. It's just kind of invested. Like he's a guy, he can only kind of play his way up, I think, in situation as far as batting order and whatnot. Not a whole lot keeping him back from hitting towards the top or even at the very, very top of that lineup. Obviously, we need to see a little bit of something, but at this cost, the 49th outfielder off the board, I think I'm fine taking that stab.
Yeah, well said. Ceddanne Rafaela here, a guy I never take. Nez, do you ever take him?
No, I don't. I don't really have a lot to say positively about Ceddanne Rafaela, unfortunately. There's just nothing here that really makes me, excited about the guy. But the projections, the only thing that I guess I can say is like, if he does hit like 730 OPS, okay, like that's not nothing in that ballpark with that lineup. But like I don't draft Ceddanne Rafaela personally. I don't know, like I am worried that I'm just like hating a little too much on like a 25-year-old with a little bit of speed, a little bit of power. If the lineup is good, like man, like maybe I just missed like some like nice outfield points. But dude, I don't draft Ceddanne Rafaela.
Yeah, and we've talked about defense, and he's a guy that they've forced into bad play positions just to keep his defense on the field. So he does have that going for him, but I'm always surprised. Somebody has to be taking him because his ADP stays pretty solid, past 2 years in this area. But
I have him. I thought I'd be more bearish on him. I have it at 121, so I think it's just like an outfielder with like some pop, some speed, and is going to play all year. I think has a value in our game. Is sort of like consider it the Dansby Swanson, but you're paying like a 1-2 round tax for outfield. I think that's pretty fine. And obviously, Nez alluded to, he's only 25, so like maybe there is a little bit more juice here than we've seen. Like, are we ready to say he's like a finished product at like 15 homers, 20 steals? Like you add 5 to either of those numbers, we're a lot more excited about it.
Yeah, good point. All right, 11, 12, 13, all get their own slide together here. Trent Grisham, we'll stick with you, Eric. We like to give you all these Yankees guys. Trent Grisham, 30-something home runs last year, like out of nowhere.
34
question mark.
I liked. I used to like Trent Grisham back when he was a Padre too.
I know.
I liked him. He's a Brewers kid to start
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I mean, projections like him, to me, it's all about like, is he going to hold? Like, if he's batting leadoff for the Yankees all day, all year, like that's a turbo smash. Like you're getting them like when they're playing at home, and like maybe this is like a false comparison, but like when they're playing at home against like a mediocre righty and he's batting leadoff, he's like one of the first few outfielders off the board in dailies, or like first couple of rounds, like drafted every single time, and you're getting him as the 51st outfielder here. Maybe there's some platoon risk, if you will, with Jasson, and honestly, like if Grisham completely regresses, like he can lose his job. But at this point, as your likely 5th outfielder, even 6th in some builds, I think like you get anywhere near last year. Let me put it this way. Projections have him losing 10 home runs from last year, and I still have him around ahead of ADP. So I think like there's a lot of room for regression. Like there's room for him to go through cold, like to sit versus lefties. The defense, like if the defense falls off it and kind of has shown some cracks, like that worries me. He's a little, I don't want to say lazy. He's got some like Robinson Cano like nonchalantness to him, and it's kind of like almost swagger. But it's like when you have that swagger and you make like an error or two, or you don't get to a ball, and it's like, did you forget how to run because like all you've done is jog for the last 3 months? Frustrating as a fan, but yeah, I think he's a good pick here.
Awesome. Colton Cowser is next. Nez did not get the season we wanted out of him last year. One of these, hyped up Orioles prospects as he's coming up in their mold, 25 years old. Showed it in 24. We liked what we saw out of him 24. Injuries last year, all that combined. He's going here at ADP 124. And what are you doing with him?
I mostly take him, but it doesn't like not scare me. I just like what I cling to is that that first off, that 24 season, second off, a really good prospect. He's going into his age 26 season. He'll be 26 this year, and the park. I don't know how much this will change, just because like you never know what they're going to do with the baseballs, but. Baltimore played so good for lefty power last year that like I want in on that, and because they're going to be a really good lineup, and if Cowser can, be what anything close to what he was in 24, I think you're looking at a really good pick, right? And this is just like a classic like 1 year dip, it's just like. Anytime that you get these discounts on guys because they had one bad season and it wasn't even a full season, right? Which that's not like that. He doesn't deserve any, docs for that either. But I think good principles are like to take the guy. And he still has that pedigree. He has a good lineup. So I'm taking Cowser, but I acknowledge that like that 25 season, I can't really make too many excuses for that. That was not good. That was not good at all.
Yeah, I mean, the excuse would be hopefully, the injury. This injury stuff kept him out. But, yeah. I'll take TJ Friedl next. He's a guy that I somehow was taking way too much of. And somehow, people started attributing to me on some streams and conversations, which I immediately regretted even mentioning his name if that was the case, because he does not project well. He's a pure volume play on the Reds offense that should be good to okay. But yeah, I don't know. I'm not, I need to separate my name from his at this point, but I'll still probably take him a few more times just out of this group. He's fine, but does not project to be anything crazy. Daulton Varsho is a guy who is way up in ADP this year. Had some injury stuff at the beginning of the season, Eric, but then just was on this like huge pace for home runs. If you project his home runs out for a whole season on what he was doing last year.
Yeah, like almost uncharacteristically. Like I know he's had some pop, but like this was kind of next level. He hit more home runs in 71 games last year than he did in 138 the year prior and 158 the year before that. Obviously, like we talked about, like defense is going to keep this guy in the lineup. Like he's going to be playing against lefties, or maybe not 100 every single day, but I think the glove is going to keep him in the lineup. And the projection it's a boring answer, but projections have him like a round and a half too cheap. So I think like he plays really well in stacks. I think he plays really well on his own. Like I don't know that you're going to get a huge win here, but I think he's more in like the outfield 40 ish, 45 ish, as opposed to 54 here. It's just like it's not as sexy as some of the younger guys, but he's not old by any stretch. He's 29, so pretty into Varsho.
All right. I guess the theme here is guys that were bad in 25 but good in 24. For you, Nez, Brenton Doyle, we loved what he was, the breakout kind of out of nowhere. He was not the Rockies guys that we were drafting when we wanted him, when we would have wanted his scoring, but he was the Rockies guy we were drafting when we didn't want his scoring. So where's he going to land this year? Pull out that crystal ball.
I mean, the The bad is that this guy never projected to be a good bat. But his defense will absolutely keep him on the field. He's one of the best defenders in baseball. The good is that if the bat X is your cup of tea, he projects the best via bat X, and they got him for a 440 slug. And playing in cores, I think is going to help him out, obviously. And he's still got the speed. He can still steal bags. But yeah, that regression hit him pretty hard. Granted, it was still better than his 23 season, but his 25 season was, I think it would be fair to call it awful from an offensive perspective, and especially at the cost people were drafting him at. Man, we were drafting Brent. Like, I don't think people remember how early we were drafting Brenton Doyle in 25. Man, that was wild. Now we get a heavy discount here, but like, I don't see anything that makes me want to draft Brenton Doyle right now, other than the fact that he plays at Coors Field.
Yep,
I'll draft him.
I'll grab him a few times just as an outfielder here, and hope that he has somewhere in between. And I need, he has a good Rockies week in the playoffs. Next up, Eric, Jung Hoo Lee. I was all over him last year, hoping that the contact was going to just play up in that park, and sort of never really, came to fruition. We kind of, he's just boring.
Yeah, I'm pretty out. Like I'm more than ever open to the boring guys, because you never know where a useful week comes from in September. Like John was talking about it on the show today with like Dansby Swanson. Like Dansby Swanson nearly won him the Dinger 2 years ago, and he still is like, yeah, I don't really think Dansby Swanson has the upside. It's like, dude, he had like 100 points in a week for you. Like you were like in top 5 of the contest for a while. But yeah, so I think like I don't think Jung Hoo Lee, like, he doesn't spike, he doesn't have the accumulation stats. I don't think the lineup like is very favorable for him to move up. I think he's kind of blocked from the top there, so I'm kind of out.
Next up, Daylen Lile, ADP of 143. I haven't been mentioning the ADPs for a while, so yeah, that's where we're at. ADP 143. This is the 57th outfielder off the board. This is a guy that I've personally gotten a little excited about, just looking at what he did last year. Maybe also in the Marsee camp of doesn't project to be super great, but kind of just showed that he could maybe hit at the big leagues, like the opposite of the Dylan Cruz kind of thing, like less hype, but did kind of towards the end of the season show that he could hit in the big leagues. So at this price, I've been jumping in. He doesn't project super great, like I said, but I think that there's a chance that with the makeup of the Nationals roster that he just plays a lot more than this 542 games that he's projected for. And he's got a little more power than Jung Hoo Lee. He's got, more speed than Kerry Carpenter. Looking around here, he's kind of like a Brenton Doyle to me. And Washington is a pretty decent hitter's park. So I'm just kind of grabbing him here. I don't know if anybody's got anything else on him.
He's a young guy, and he's only 23 years old, and drafted second round out of high school by the Nationals here, part of this youth movement that they've got going on. He's got interesting like StatCast numbers, but in 91 games last year, like, was good, like almost slugged 500, basically slugged 500 in 91 games last year, which like really shocked me whenever I was like, who is Daylen Lile? I was like, oh shit, okay, this guy was good. Projections think that he's gonna be fine. Like, I'm seeing 750s for OPS, 700, 730, depending on like what you see here. I think he's like a pretty decent pick. And I say that as like somebody that doesn't really take him a ton right now, but I think buying into like, okay, this is a young player, like really young player to be quite frank, had a really nice debut in half a season. Like I think it's totally fine to take that stab given that we think the playing time is safe.
Yeah, I did put him on the thumbnail today. I tried to pull 3 guys that, for the real ball knowers, if you see this thumbnail and you can immediately identify all 3 guys on it, shout yourself out in the comments. You deserve a pat on the back.
Yeah. And I guess the last thing to say is like for a 23-year-old to have this like, bat to ball skill that he has is not nothing. It's definitely not nothing.
Yeah,
I mean, this strikeout percentage and like in the low whiff, like there's something here. So I'm consider me intrigued by Daylen Lile.
Well, you can jump on the Daylen Lile train with me.
Yeah.
EZ next is Kerry Carpenter. Here is your epitome of a platoon bat and a team that is going to platoon for all of their potential platoons. So, does the power justify the cost with the platoon and kind of a history of back problem risk?
I'm scared because didn't they just sign Austin Slater?
Yes.
Man, like screw that guy. Like he follows me around everywhere. I try to have a little bit of fun. It feels like.
That's it.
Yeah.
Kerry Carpenter is a blast. He's fun.
Yeah.
It's hard.
Yeah.
It feels bad to fade him, and I feel bad always pointing out the negatives, but it's kind of important.
Yeah, I mean, as your like 6th outfielder, I think he's still worth the cost. Like even if you have him missing 40 plus games, I'm trying to scroll if you want to look for like the upside case, I have him as a 112 spike score, which is the highest. You have to go all the way back, the highest of the episodes so far, and the highest since Byron Buxton for me. So if you're talking about like single game, single week, more like spikes, his profile is the spikiest until you go to like round 4 or 5. So what you're missing in volume, you're hoping to make up for in, getting a week with 5 righties.
Yeah. Well said. I was trying to add more and I don't really have anything extra. So we don't need to keep carrying on about that. But we'll stick with you on Jasson Dominguez, the positionless wonder. Is I guess the simple question: is he going to make the team out of spring? You think?
I don't know why he would. Like, because, like, why are you going to carry a bench outfielder that can't play the outfield? And so, like, I don't think his fit makes sense on this team. Granted, the likelihood that one or more of Trent Grisham, Giancarlo Stanton, Paul Goldschmidt don't see like June or July or August, tends to be kind of high. So I think like we'll definitely be seeing Dominguez like this year. I wish obviously it wasn't this way because man, like super hyped about him. Definitely hard to argue that he wasn't overrated by the pinstripes. In his profile was like super fun, obviously, but you're talking about like in switch hitting is so hard, man. And it's like it always looks when it doesn't work out, it's such an easy thing to be like, man, you couldn't like pick a side and like learn how to do one instead of like being bad at both. And he's a bad fielder. So that's kind of like the downsides. The one thing I was thinking about this earlier today because I was like, I figured I'd get the Yankees guys where it's like, and this is not the infield show, but there's like an infielder around this ADP who may or may not make the opening day roster, on someone else's favorite team. And can you afford to take an April or May 0, right? Like how often do you need your 6th outfielder in April, May? Hopefully not often. It's like, Yeah, I think like if you get Jasson closer to pick 200, like if
Yeah.
ADP wasn't so sticky, I think like that is probably a range where I would be buying and say, hey, I don't really need him in April, May. Hopefully he finds a spot because stuff happens, or he plays his way into it, and or God forbid they trade him for Paul Skeens or something like that. So
yeah, my biggest thing is like just looking at Trent Grisham and the rise of Trent Grisham, and as much as we kind of like him, but if you get to this end of the season and Trent Grisham is out of a job and Jasson Dominguez is smashing the ball, like that's a scenario I can easily tell myself. So this is definitely a wish casting, and I'm with you. Closer to 180, 190, I'm going to be jumping back in, and I kind of hope the news goes such that he isn't going to make the team, and we can maybe find some potential late round value on him. Next up, Wilyer Abreu, the Boston Red Sox outfielder that I do take late. The Nez, the kind of the discussion about him this year in the offseason, Alex Cora said that he's going to start and play more against lefties. He kind of had a good season against them last year, whereas he hadn't in the past. Are you? You said you're out on Rafael. Are you in on Abreu with me?
I just like off of the principle of, hey, this is like a platoon bat. Not really.
Yeah.
But if he does end up playing more against lefties, like then yeah, I'll have egg on my face. I mean, 2024, man, he played 132 games. So like could he do that again? It doesn't seem totally out of the question because he's a good bat. Like he's a very good bat in a good park with a decent lineup. So all that is really intriguing. And he's only 26, going to be 27 this year. So I love Wilyer Abreu and dailies, right? Give me a righty against Abreu. Like I'm there, man, especially in Fenway, like sign me up. But in best ball, it does give me pause because I'm like, this dude, like how many games am I getting from this dude, man? Like it worries me. But the one thing that like you can say is like he's like a tier break in terms of like being a good hitter and having like the threshold of like you can probably pencil this guy in for over 100 games despite the platoon. So there's that. Love this guy for dailies. I struggle with it in best ball.
I'm surprised they don't even have like roster resource doesn't even have the platoon kind of tag on him, and I'm like trying to think of like who he would be platooning with because he has 2 career home runs versus lefties versus 37 against righties. So like I'll kind of believe it when I see it as far as playing more against lefties. And the Red Sox do have aspirations to be a bit more serious this year, but is it like is IKF taking? Yeah, I don't know. We'll see. And like actually, let me argue against myself. If they trade Duran, like that kind of opens up an outfield spot unless they trade for right-handed outfielder, and that kind of shakes things up. But I think he's a very good hitter.
Yeah, it does feel like the Boston Red Sox roster as it is now isn't the one that they're going to go into the season with. To me,
I agree. I agree.
All right, round 14, 15, and 16 here. Sal Frelick is here at the top, ADP 163.5. Kind of a breakout year for Sal. The summer of Sal, as we were saying here in Milwaukee last year, because you got to have your T-shirt slogans that you can sell. But a breakout. I was originally concerned coming into the season about his playing time, and then they traded Isaac Collins out of that outfield. So we have Garrett Mitchell and who else? Blake Perkins, who they like also is defense. So Sal Frelick kind of just slots into an everyday outfielder role. I have always been not too much of a believer in his pop and his power. I know Nez, you've been more positive on Sal than I have. So, what do you think about getting to that power last year? Is that repeatable? I have my concerns still, just looking at the underlying stuff.
Yeah, I certainly don't think I would be drafting Sal Frelick for the power. I was drafting him because I'm like, man, this guy has really good bat to ball skills, and I was just kind of more enamored with the baseball player, and he was free whenever I was drafting him, right?
Yeah.
Like this was a free bat. I think the playing time is safer than what these Fangraph projections give him credit for. But the projections themselves, I think, kind of like tell the story, right? This is not an overly exciting player. This is somebody that I think, like, if you are maybe you have somebody that's injured and you are like kind of like desperate for outfield points, you take Sal Frelick and you hope that he can help you advance and get a little hot, and maybe you stack him up as well. But I don't think I'm going to be like in the Sal Frelick camp this year just because he's not a last round pick anymore.
Yeah. The next guy, Ramon Laureano, also previously a last round pick to more in the undrafted territory last year. A guy who I've personally been kind of banging the drum each year that he deserves a full-time position. Eric, last year he got it and kind of, finally showed a little bit of what that early A's phenom that he was, kind of showed up here in the Padres. And Eric, he's got no competition for playing time again.
Not at all. I was just looking at the bench, and it's like maybe the worst bench of like names that I've ever seen. I won't even put you on the spot to ask you to name a single Padres bench player, but yeah, playing time secured. Like he should be batting in middle-ish of this lineup for as long as that lineup stay together. I suppose. Maybe best nickname in baseball, or up there. Like Laser Ramon is like super sick nickname. Yeah, I mean, all that like kind of aside, I think he's a reasonably good pick to get you back on track. Like good upside, good playing time. Upside in that like his profile. Not that I think his his baseball card is his baseball card for the most part, and we're starting to get back into that kind of archetype. But yeah, he's just a solid to good pick.
Yeah, and he's only 31. You feel like he's been, to me, it feels like he's been around, and he's older than that. I'll mix it up here, not give you the other Yankee. I'll swap your teams here. So Nez, Giancarlo Stanton. I know you're in on him this year, so that's also I'm giving, or maybe you're not anymore.
I mean, no, I am, but like, I'm just like, I was just in awe of what he did when he came back last year. Like, I didn't think this dude stood a chance in hell to really, be that productive at all. And he comes back and slugs damn near 600 for like the first time in like 7 years. Like, what? Granted, there's 77 games, but like, dude, this guy was ripping baseballs. He still has tennis elbow, so I don't love that. But like, I don't know, man. I can talk myself into pick 171 Giancarlo Stanton and like be active in the playoffs, bro. Be active in the playoffs and spike for me, because like he was getting it done. He was their best hitter like at the end of the year last year. It was unbelievable. And I get hung up on these small samples when I'm like really paying attention a lot. But dude, he clearly has spike. Like he can spike.
Yeah. Now easy. Marcell Ozuna signed with the Pittsburgh Pirates. Fell off a bit last year. Still put up some okay numbers. He's projected for, I guess, I don't know if this playing time projection is updated with the Pirates, but seems to have path to an everyday role there.
Yeah, to me, like I'm baking in a more bullish projection on playing time than what is being thrown out there. I guess we'll see, like, as that continues to materialize. It's not a huge commitment the Pirates are throwing at these guys. Like, is it mostly like, for rounding, we'll call it 1 year, 10 million to a bunch of different guys? Like, if they stink, you can very justifiably bury that in your roster or throw them out to the Wolves and whatever. But I don't think it's going to take much for Ozuna to pay off this tag. Like, definitely, like, hesitate to say, but like, priority target in stacks, and I'm actually pretty good with him just on his own.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not like I think the playing time is going to be better than what is shown, because like he's gonna play against righties. I think, even though the DH spot is pretty crowded, and obviously he's out there against lefties. Obviously, yeah, he's an interesting one. I think he's gonna rise just because he has a team now. But like, even as a Pirates fan, I don't know how much I'm gonna be there for this. I mean, he's pure DH, right? Like, this dude doesn't play the field anymore.
Yeah.
And against righties, where are you going to put O'Hearn and Horwitz? Like, there's one of O'Hearn or Horwitz playing right field.
Yeah.
What are we doing? That's why I didn't really love the signing.
Yeah, it was sort of like, hey, we need, we're talking about trying, and we got to get one of these best bats on the market, and he was the guy.
Yeah, it really did kind of seem like fan service.
I mean, it's one of those moves you make, and like, you're building a dynasty in a video game, and you're just simulating the games. And at the end of the year, you look at the stats, and it's like, oh wow, Ozuna hit 260, 30 home runs, but you didn't have to sit there and watch him play the field or DH and like all the other guys play the field. So like, it looks really fun on paper until you have to sit through 162 times 9 innings of you have 3 DHs in your lineup.
Yeah. I will say O'Hearn did play some right field last year, so I guess the plan is O'Hearn. But like, God, whatever, man, whatever.
Okay. Jordan Beck is next. Another Rockies player that I'm just grabbing here, maybe in pairs with other Rockies and on his own. Just a volume play, a little bit of speed, a little bit of power. It's going to depend on that game that he's in and what the rest of the Rockies offense does in that game, just like the rest of the Rockies, I think, up and down ADP. Nez, your guy, Chase DeLauter. This is the season they've got him for 484 plate appearances, but we alluded it to earlier. The lineup here is not filled with names that even know who they are, much less or think they're going to be able to chase him out. Oh, sorry for the pun there. I really did not mean that one.
I barely noticed until you said something. Chase DeLauter. It's kind of like taller Sal Frelick with a little bit more power. Like, pretty, just like a pretty good bat, man. Like, I liked him because I thought that he was an above average bat that would play a lot in Cleveland and potentially rise in that lineup. Because I just like, I thought that I think the bat is better than the projections give it credit for. He was somebody that, like, in college, like, I was really paying a close eye to. And he kind of rose fast and had really good stints in the minors for Cleveland. I'm in on him this year, man, because I think last year was a little bit of like handling with kid gloves with the injury, and he also didn't do well whenever he did like make his debut. But I'm gonna have a lot of Chase DeLauter this year. Like, I promise you that. He's one of my favorite ways to round out an outfield at the moment. I'm just like more bullish on every projection than for Chase.
Yeah, I think for me there's two things. One is a reoccurring ankle issue is kind of scaring. That is not what he was injuries that he had last season. But he's said it, basically an early ankle injury that he's kind of got to maintain, sort of thing, always. But I'm with you in grabbing him here because he's projected to clean up. And I know this isn't the infield, but Kyle Manzardo and him together as a last infielder and a last outfielder, that's kind of fun.
It is. I love Manzardo. Yeah. Not an infield show. Love Manzardo.
Yep.
All right. We are on to round 17 and 18. We got a couple of Rockies here. Let's just bundle them together, Eric. Mickey Moniak, post. Whatever Joe Adell posts, you got to add a few more posts.
Yeah.
Breakout on Mickey Moniak. Former first overall pick, and then the super utility man who kind of lost his way last year in Willie Castro.
Yeah, I mean, I think Moniak, if he gets anywhere near full playing time, which I don't think he will because he's a lefty that doesn't have good history against lefties, and the Rockies just don't like us to have fun. But I think he's a really, really good buy here. Still, only 27. Pretty he doesn't get on base really well, so kind of questionable how good of a ball player he is. But I think mid to high 20s home runs and steal 10-ish bags. I think I think he's we're really getting into the this is the last outfielder that I'm drafting type guys, unless I'm building weirdly. And I'm taking a lot of Moniak. I'm taking less, but a decent amount of Willie Castro too. Sometimes together, sometimes, with Hunter Goodman, with Jordan Beck, with Brenton Doyle, just doing that thing. But Moniak is kind of a priority target for me as a, last call, ADP, 197. I'll take him 185 and just be done as my sixth outfielder pretty often.
Yeah. Because the cost of the pitcher that you're giving up or the infielder you're giving up there is pretty much the same as the ones you can get later.
Yeah, and I think I think he's kind of a tier break against most of the guys that we're going to see here on out.
Okay, Nez, Chandler Simpson. I've been telling people don't draft Chandler Simpson. I don't think he has. This is Estuary's just played back in my head.
Yeah,
it is. I mean, it absolutely is. I think I'd have to go back to see Ruiz, but the one thing that Chandler Simpson does have for him is this dude hits for average, at an elite level. He's putting bat on ball, but it's never going over the fence. I would probably be really intrigued by this guy 3 years ago. Right now, though, I just I don't draft him. I don't think I can make myself draft him. Just no power whatsoever. But shout out to a good old fashioned 300 hitter. I'm gonna hit 300. I'm gonna steal 50, 40 bags, and I'm gonna be fun to watch. But yeah, dude, I'm not drafting Chandler Simpson, but I just love this archetype of player in real life.
Lowest spike score in the entire player pool.
Wow. And that's with the potential of 70 stolen bases.
Yeah.
So that says it all there. And I think the names aren't good. The names are weird in this outfield that the Rays have put together, but I think it's kind of low-key crowded with mediocre guys that they're just gonna mix and match. So I'm not. That's another problem with me for him, and that's something they did in the past. Nick Castellanos, I think we can just skip over until he has a landing spot. We know what's happening. I saw the news blurb today is Phillies told him not even to show up to camp for spring training.
Yeah, they took down all his pictures.
So nobody wants him. Is he going to retire? Or is he going to come back and when somebody needs a bench outfield in their stretch run, maybe that's kind of where he gets to. But because nobody wants to take on his salary, and the Phillies don't want to pay any of the salary in the trade. It seems like. So.
We're gonna lose out on the most like overplayed meme every time there's like a tragedy or a world event.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, like go to FanDuel, like bet Nick Castellanos like the third low, like Joey Turning 1, Aaron Judge 2, Nick Castellanos against like Paul Skeens is like plus 270 to hit a home run. Like, come on.
The one thing I was thinking of is like, I'm like, where could he possibly end up?
Yeah.
And I mean, whoever gets him, like, is getting something along with him, right? Like, you're not paying to acquire Castellanos. They're paying you to take Castellanos. Could he end up in Colorado?
Maybe.
Oh man.
Could he be another DH in just across the state?
Like, what are these guys doing? What are they doing? What are they doing over at the Rockies, man? Like, why not just like they could use them?
The Rockies should have had the Pirates off season.
We deserve a good Rockies team. Like, we haven't had a good Rockies team since we've been playing best ball, dude.
That's true. That's true. I think we can skip Harrison Bader. I'm not. If nobody's pounding the table to talk about Harrison Bader. He's Harrison Bader. I don't know why he's going here. He's one of these guys that you love as a baseball player and not a best ball player.
Sure.
But easy, we got Matt Wallner, kind of the second, Kerry Carpenter Jr. But at a different price without, what's his spike score compared to him, and then
highest of the show, highest of the episode.
Oh,
yeah.
Oh, okay.
Let's talk.
Let's talk. But this doesn't know he's only playing 4 times a week. But Rocco Baldelli's gone, so maybe a little bit less annoying. I mean, he'll still platoon, but maybe he won't get pulled in the 4th inning of a game that he started batting 3rd in. Man, how freaking frustrating! Like, I had to rebuild. I had to build in such convoluted logic for DFS stuff for like, because all the time the Twins like 1, 2, 3, 4 hitters like against like a bad starter would be like, oh my god, like flashing value, and then you get 1.5 plate appearances from them. But anyway, Wallner, really, really fun, man. It's more just about like is he going to hit well enough to play? And like, am I here? I don't know if I was wish casting or if I heard like that there's like some trade rumors going around with him. Like,
I have not.
Did I make that up?
You might have. I've not seen that.
I haven't heard that. Would that honestly be like kind of bad?
You'd imagine if he goes somewhere, it's because someone wants him,
Yeah, that's always good.
But he's young and like cheap, so I don't really know what their justification would be, except like their ownership is kind of a mess, to say the least.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I just wanted to point that out that the basically one brother took over the team from the other brother in the middle of the off season, and said, "Oh no, I know my brother said that we weren't going to compete this year. We're going to trade everybody away, but no, we're going to compete and we're not going to trade anybody away. But I'm not going to give you any more money." So I think right now, as going into the season, they're going to try and pulling up roster resources. They don't have him as a platoon bat because the guys they have on the bench, Cody Clemens and James Outman, who could play outfield, are both lefties, and I don't know too much about Ryan Friedl and Austin Martinez, and was kind of a guy that is whatever. So I don't know.
That was very kind to Austin Martin too.
Yeah, I guess there's a lot of question marks on what this team's actually going to do without a new manager and new kind of ownership, even though the ownership didn't change.
Yeah, I think like there's like this could be a big miss, but he's probably the guy. And maybe you guys will tell me you'll find someone else. I think he's the last one that deserves, quote unquote, to be 100% drafted, and probably not even if we're being honest. But I think you can almost always justify finding a spot like for loaners, your outfield 6 or 7. But after this, it gets even more dicey.
I think
believe it or
Warner has a
not.
place on every team.
Mhm.
Yeah. I'm taking him over all these guys on this list before him, and I'll just pop back. I'm taking him. I take him in this group too. So
If I had to take him over Frelick, I would.
right.
I don't have to, but I probably would, and that's a 50 ADP difference.
Yeah, you talked about somebody being your last outfielder. Matt Wallner a lot of times is my last outfielder, just that I feel confident in. So speaking of confidence, let's get to round 1920 and beyond. We got 2 St. Louis Cardinals guys here, Nez. This is, we're getting into the ADP where ADP does not matter, but they're here together. Jordan Walker went to Driveline. Lars Nootbaar is coming off of some off-season surgery, so while he was an early target for me, I've completely fallen off him because we haven't seen him really perform to what we wanted any season that we wanted out of him. But Jordan Walker, are you in the Jordan Walker went to Driveline camp, Nez?
Not really, no. But as the season goes on, and I'm kind of getting bored, and I need to mix up my last round draft picks, I'll probably take a little bit of Jordan Walker. Keep comping him to Kyle Pitts just because it's like funny, and I kind of think it is like a little perfect to compare him to Kyle Pitts because he's so young, dude. His age 24 season, had a good rookie season in 23 whenever he came onto the scene, and was really good as a prospect. And he's a beast as a from a physical standpoint. He's probably worth getting fooled on again. Like I think it's good process to take Jordan Walker. I'm not there yet, but I think it makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, before him, I guess it's before, but whatever. Jorge Soler might have an okay. How does he hold up in his at this point in his spike score?
Pretty reasonably well. He's just like I don't know. Is it a blind spot for projections that like I keep getting funneled to guys like Soler, guys like Ozuna? I don't know who else kind of falls in that like the wrong side of 31, 33, 36-year-old power like waning in like the DH only, but like ballpark is like reasonably well in the late summer, and I don't know who he's losing his job to, though inevitably I do think like he probably will and should. I just don't really know if that person will identify themselves early. Like the signs are there that he's kind of over the hill, but you could squeeze him in.
Yeah, I think he's losing the job to himself, either health-wise or performance-wise.
Mm-hmm.
All right, I'm just going to list off the names on this list and let anybody call out anyone that they think is worth talking about. We have Owen Cassidy left, Cedric Mullins, Cam Smith, Josh Lowe, Evan Carter, Gavin Sheets, and Dylan Beavers. So I guess I'll start with going all the way down there to Gavin Sheets. I think he is along the same lines as Ramon Laureano. More likely to get not face lefties, but he did play against lefties last year, and they have not done anything to the roster to make me think that Gavin Sheets isn't almost everyday player for them, and it just kind of showed, being on a new team was what he needed. So I'm in on Gavin Sheets.
Me too.
Occasionally grabbing him.
Yeah, I like Gavin Sheets, man. He played well in a change of scenery last year in a place where like probably shouldn't have done as well as he did, and he still did. Brings like a pretty important lefty stick to this lineup as well. Plays outfield, plays a little bit of first base. He DH'd. Like they found ways to get him in the lineup last year. And I've always just kind of been a Gavin Sheets guy. He's only 30 years old. That's not a bad thing. Especially for baseball. So I like Evan Sheets, man. He's a pretty cheap guy to give you like non-zero production for, what, if we're gonna, let's just call it 145 games from 25. Like, not bad, not bad.
All right, who else we got?
Did you see the Evan Carter blurb is like his goal is to steal 30 bases? And in my mind, I'm like, dude, your goal would be to hit more than 5 home runs, which you've hit exactly for the last 3 seasons. Maybe play 30 games before you start targeting 30 steals. I'm lashing out against Evan Carter. I should be mad at myself. I try not to be mad at the.
Oh, you hit the mute again.
Oh well, but yeah. I'll say I'm in the same camp of just like being sick of this dude, but projections can't seem to quit him. And the way that the Rangers are kind of positioned right now, man, it seems like Evan Carter might play a lot if he's healthy. He's like kind of intriguing, man. If he's gonna play and stay in the lineup, you could do worse at outfield.
Yeah, this is the exact opposite for me. I've never been in on Evan Carter, and this year I'm starting to grab him just a little bit here at the end because playing time, speed. He showed that one season that he could hit pitching, MLB pitching, not lefties, but I don't know what the platoon options are there either. I think Cedric Mullins and Josh Lowe are kind of the same player here, both potentially pretty important to their offenses and defenses on kind of bad teams. So I think they're both. I don't know if anybody sees upside there. I think they're both volume plays here that I'm not taking.
The Trop is back, right, this year, because like I think it would be a much different conversation if Tampa was still playing at Steinbrenner Field for Cedric Mullins, but I don't think he's draftable for me right now in that ballpark and platoon and limited upside as it is.
Yeah, not for me.
I am telling myself or talking myself into Cam Smith though. They're saying he's got to make the team. Like they're kind of the blurbs about him aren't great, but this is a terrible Houston Astros outfield, and if they want to even like have, he was the key piece in the trade for Kyle Tucker, so like they should play him and give him a chance to show why they traded for him. So I'm similar to some other guys. I'm not going to let a young guy's first season being bad totally rule him out, and he's free. So
crush the minors, right. And he's at age 23 season. I got a feeling they're going to let this kid play.
Yeah, I don't know if they're trying to motivate him or what, but by saying that. But all right, let's pull it up. I'm pulling up ADP here. We're going to scroll down, and maybe you guys have some guys here at the end that you want to talk about that weren't on the list. I want to start out with Isaac Collins. I think the Brewers squeezed as much value out of him as they could last year and decided that they couldn't squeeze anymore. So let's try to trade him for a pitcher that we can try to squeeze value out of instead, just in a supreme Brewers move. But you're talking about bad or questionable outfields, like Kansas City, like this guy could be a key player for Kansas City all year. He's got decent defense. He's got just like a replaceable bat, but I think as far as pure volume plays, I like him better than the two lefties we talked about before.
Yeah, he had a hell of a season last year, didn't he? Like, good Lord, that dude really performed over his head. So good for them for finding a trade partner there. He's definitely interesting, man. He's definitely interesting. It seems like he's gonna play like quite a bit for Kansas City. So definitely on my radar, but I haven't taken him yet.
All right, I can keep going from what he's got else. Justin Crawford, just a Phillies outfielder right now, pure volume play. I don't take him over Isaac Collins, but interesting.
I have a
Prospect.
Phillies outfielder,
Okay.
Brendan Marsh. Like
Yeah.
if you're talking about post hype guys that gave us like a fairly usable season last year, very very unlikely to hit high in that lineup. But we kind of talked about before, that ballpark plays well in the summer, and I think he's like a fine tack on stack. I think like we'd all admit like we're very much forcing it here. Like we're looking at guys where like median outcomes is in the 100 to 120 game range, and like probably limited much above that if we're being honest. So you're taking on a lot of like risk of like this guy may not be that good and he may not play, and those are kind of those feed into each other. So it gets rough. It gets rough fast, but it only takes one or two reasons to want to draft a guy if you're trying to get different. But I'd kind of lean in on the stack side if you're looking for a reason to draft someone down here.
Yeah, for sure. Tyler O'Neill is, similar to Jorge Soler in terms of, but he has been good when he's been healthy lately. Victor Scott is a guy that is a pure volume play for St. Louis, could get some steals. I'm going to call out Carson Bench because, despite trading for Luis Robert Jr., there's still kind of some questions about the outfield for the Mets. And I don't know, Easy, if you have him in your prospect grades. It's pretty good. It's not like anything outstanding, but pretty good.
It didn't I think he's more of like a professional ball player than he is like a fantasy kind of prospect tooly guy. So like it didn't help to add, and certainly like Lou Bob coming over takes away his opening day roster spot probably, or lineup spot.
Yeah. Are we going back to JJ Bleday Nez?
Oh my God, no, not for me. Like they've got like a whole lineup full of JJ Bledays now. Yeah, I don't think I'm gonna go ahead and take the plunge on this one. So close with the Bleday. Just make that Soderstrom and I'm rich. But no JJ Bleday from the Reds for me.
Yeah, a couple other names here. Just like, could Miguel Andujar be this year's Ramon Laureano for the Padres? I don't think so. He's hurt a lot. I take him in a lot of deep roto teams and play him for like 2 weeks out of the year, and then I was like, oh yeah, he's not very good either. But Andrew Benintendi, I don't know. I'm building some random White Sox stacks this year. Colson Montgomery plus late Andrew Benintendi is a little pairing. I don't know. Why not? Jake McCarthy now in Colorado, a place that I would be all over if, this was a season ago and they traded him, because I was drafting him in Arizona, but it's not really.
You could throw Tyler Freeman in the mix too if you're talking about Colorado, which then like threw me down like Nolan Jones Avenue if you're talking about Guardians bench players, but who I'm not drafting, but we've probably drafted worse than Tyler Freeman. I'm struggling to think of who, but he's kind of like a dollar store like Garrett Hampson. Like I don't know. It's like it's kind of
stretching. Bad. We're stretching here. I do want to say though,
I can throw fun bad names at you when you're done being serious.
Okay. I want to throw Ryan Waldschmidt, who is a guy with some decent hype coming out of Arizona. Like I was seeing people talking about him making the team already, but if we get bad news on like worse news on Corbin Carroll, I think the idea that he's going to make the team and maybe he can still play his way into spring. I think I just want to throw that as a name to keep an eye on as Arizona.
He walks a lot. Doesn't strike out a lot. That's a pretty interesting profile for a young guy.
Yeah. All right. That's my list. So yeah, what are your fun names?
Spencer Jones,
okay,
who talk about Yankee outfielders that they don't have a spot for. Plus, I think like a lot of the shine has fallen off, and this is just like add him to the pile of guys that should have been traded while people cared. But he's reminded people of Aaron Judge, maybe in stature and strikeout rate alone, but there's some hype there. He has an ADP. And then Walker Jenkins, I think is probably, we'll talk more about him next year as it relates to Minnesota, but like he's very young. He's 20. So like it would be not completely unprecedented, but close. He's turning 21 later this week, actually, but very good prospect. Maybe not very good, like pretty good prospect. Top 5 pick a couple years ago.
Yeah.
He should find his way into this lineup next year. If it comes a year early, would I be surprised? No. Can you hold a 0 until July or August? It depends. But good prospect and bad team.
Okay. All right. Probably the worst name that I've taken on multiple teams is Victor Robles. If we want to talk about silly names at the end here, I don't know. I don't have anything to say about it other than I've done it. All right. So that's it. I'm sure, there's going to be somebody down here that we don't talk about. It's impossible to cover everyone. You never know who's going to show up, but hopefully we did not miss out on anyone that you were hoping to hear about. And, throw a comment if we missed somebody down there that we should be looking into. We are certainly all recognize that we're fallible here, and none of us are like, as much as we talk about this and are into it, our life isn't prospects and super deep depth charts. So maybe there's somebody we're missing. Let us know. So guys, we did it. We talked through the outfield position. I don't know if I feel any better about late outfielder after. I was hoping somebody's going to find some more targets for me, but I don't feel like we did.
No, unfortunately, there's no one saving us. I don't think in the 20th round right now,
which I think is fine. Which I think is fine, right? I think like the name of the game is like I think round 1 outfield is good. Round 2 outfield is, and 3 outfielders decent. I think by and large, you want to avoid the upper middle class, similar to if you think about it like receivers in the NFL, like the round 4, 5, 6, like you might have 1 or 2 big winners, or you're gonna have a lot of big losers that are kind of propped up because of positional scarcity. And then I think you want to be done kind of early, for as much fun as it is to find the diamond in the rough or to find the prospect that plays like most of the second half that no one else was thinking about, like just really hard to find. So I think you want to take a couple early and ignore it, and then take 1 or 2 in like round 16, 17, and then be done is kind of how I'm approaching it.
Yep. Yeah. It's, sometimes you want to be exciting and come up with the secret strategy, but sometimes it's just best to play out the correct strategy. All right. So thank you guys for joining us. We appreciate anyone that can sit for an hour and a half and talk about just half of the outfielders. That's always fun to do. So thank you, Eric. Thank you, Nez. Thank you guys for watching. We will have the infield show next week. And a little tease, we'll be debuting a new streaming show on the channel here, hopefully next week too. So look forward to that. We'll maybe throw out some teasers for that. But yeah, so thank you guys for watching, and get out there and keep drafting.